First thing I'm going to show you is how to start a new string. When you start a new string, you can't start it right at the point where you did a stitch. You have to start it where you're wrapping around the coil. So to start a new string, you're just going to end your first one and take your needle off. Don't lose your needle. And then cut another piece of string that is several feet long. And put your needle in the end. If you are doing some yarn that has a pattern, you want to make sure that you pay attention to which side you want to start stitching with to keep the pattern the same. Okay, so I have my needle, so then I'm going to take the other end. And in order for me to switch pieces, I'm going to take the first piece that I had and kind of lay it flat against the coil. I'm going to take my second piece, the end without the needle, and I'm also going to lay that flat against the coil. So I have those two strings together. I'm going to hold those down with one hand, and with the other hand, I'm going to go through and start wrapping the coil. When you wrap the coil, you also will be wrapping the ends of the two strings so that those stay in place. Okay, and then once I have my 10 or however many, you can add a few stitches on or a few wraps on this time to make sure the strings stay in place. And you're just going to continue on and come up from the next row. All right, I'm kind of at the point where I'm starting to stack my coils, so I'm starting to build them up. So the way that you do that, instead of having the coil just right along next to it, you're going to bring it up so that it overlaps the bottom coil a little bit. So when I stitch this, instead of having the coil lay next to it, I'm going to bring the coil up a little bit. That's one stitch, two stitches, and then I'm going to keep going. So again, you can see that this coil is starting to overlap the bottom coil. So it'll slowly start to curve up. So this side I haven't done it yet, that side I've started. So you're going to continue on. Again, I want this to be a little bit stacked like that. When you get to the point that you are doing the sides, it's extra important that you are watching to make sure you don't have any gaps where you can see the coil. It doesn't matter on the bottom so much because on the bottom, if the pot's just sitting still, you won't be able to see. Like for example, I have a few down here. But on the side, when the pot is on a table or wherever, you'll be able to see the sides and the inside. So you want to make sure that you don't have any of those gaps. So then I'm just going to keep going until that whole thing's covered up.